Commissioner Gray, and Commissioner Hastings on Zoom. So all are present. Next, we're going to get to the invocation, which is going to be given by Archie Walker of the Smith Valley Baptist. And right after that, we'll be doing the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you could please rise for both of those.
Thank you and good morning. I'd like to read from Proverbs chapter 15, verse 3. The eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we are thankful that you have revealed yourself in your word to tell us and give us not only a warning and admonition, but also an encouragement. An encouragement that there is a difference between good and evil, that you are the one who has defined those differences. And Lord, that we can always trust you because you're the same, never changing. And so we gather this morning thanking you for all the wonderful privileges that you've given us to know you through the power of your word. Today, Lord, there's a lot of evil, streets overflowing with riots and looting and crime. And yet we live in a place where I didn't feel threatened at all to come here this morning. For that, we give you thanks and praise. And we would pray for those all around our nation who are struggling because they live in places where people don't seem to know the difference between evil and good. We pray for our officials here. We pray for our law enforcement. We pray for all those who are in the decision-making process for Lyon County. We give you praise for government. Sometimes it doesn't work like we wish it would, or think it should, or you think it should. But Lord, by your grace and with your help, we call on you today to give us wisdom and insight. And we know when we ask, you'll do that. We thank you and praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Jeff, can you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, today we have a couple of time certains here. 4A, time certain, 9:15 a.m. for possible action, approve an amendment to the collective bargaining agreement with the Lyon County Employees Association regarding salaries, merit increases, and longevity payments for the 2020-2021 fiscal year. 4B, time certain, 9:15 a.m. for possible action, approve collective bargaining agreement with the Lyon County Sheriff's Employees Association for the 2020-2021 fiscal year. 4C, time certain for 9:15 a.m. for the possible action, approve management pay plan for fiscal year 2020-2021. And 4D at 9:15 a.m. for possible action, approve master salary tables for 2021, approve base pay increase of 2% for all non-association eligible employees effective 10/17/2020, and approve reinstatement of merit increases and longevity payments for such employees retroactive to 7/1/2020. So at this time, public participation, I cannot talk today. Public participation. No action will be taken on any item until it's properly agendized. It is anticipated that public participation will be held at this time, though it may be returned to at any time during the agenda. Citizens wishing to speak during public participation are asked to state their name for the record and will be limited to 3 minutes. The board will conduct public comment after discussion of each agenda item, but before the board takes any action. Afterwards, please put your name at the clerk's desk, or if you're on Zoom, please state your name and spell your name. So at this time, do we have any public participation for anything other than what's on the agenda? I'm not seeing any hands, and I'm not seeing anybody jump up. Okay. Number 6, for possible action, review and adoption of the agenda. Do we have any changes, Jeff?
No, ma'am, we'll be pulling something off on consent to be discussed.
On the consent, yeah. Okay. So can I get a motion, please?
Move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. Any other discussion? Public comment? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Okay, 7A, for presentation only. Present an employee spotlight award to Chris Hoffert for becoming a certified water operator at the highest level, presented by David Briquetta.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. David Briquetta for the record. For October, the month of October, the Utility Department would like to recognize Chris Hoffert for becoming a grade 4 certified water distribution operator. Currently, he is one of 2 people in the department that holds this certification. He is considered one of the senior leaders with the utility department. He's been with the county for 8 years, and he's tasked with ensuring that the residents of Dayton and Mound House have safe and reliable drinking water. There's quite a bit of background and work experience that are required in order to sit in on this grade 4 certification. He met those requirements, and he studied hard and was able to pass that exam. So we wanted to recognize Chris for his hard work and his efforts to get this certificate. He is actually out in the field today, so he wasn't able to join us for this meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Briquetta. Any comments from the commissioners? Seeing none, well, if you could please pass along for us to Mr. Hoffert that we are very appreciative of the certification that he's gotten and all of his hard work.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you. 7B, for presentation only, recognize Natasha Hemingway, I hope I said that right, home visitor, for her can-do attitude and dedication to Lyon County families. Ms. Holmes, I'm sure that's you.
That's me. Good morning. Shayla Holmes, Lyon County Human Services. This morning, we're recognizing Natasha Hemingway. You got that perfectly right. She's one of our home visitors. She serves the Yerington and Silver Springs areas. She currently has 14 families on her caseload. And just a quick overview of what a home visitor does. They serve families from prenatal to kids with age 5. They go in home and they provide parenting support, in-home education. They teach new moms how to change diapers. They talk them through well check visits. They teach them best parenting practices. They are with them through developmental delays. They do developmental screenings. They help catch issues early on. They help parents address hard behavior. And these are all our harder to serve at-risk parents. Many of them start with us from hospital referrals when they have substance abuse-born babies and things of that nature. So she works with some really tough populations in Silver Springs and Yerington, and she makes great success with those families. So in addition to serving those 14 families, and sometimes more and sometimes a little less depending on the need, she's always got the most amazing can-do attitude. Anytime we need assistance with something, she is right there. During the pandemic, while we've had individuals needing to telecommute, schedule changes due to school closures, people needing to quarantine, Natasha is always right there with her hand up saying, I've got it. We were doing telephone coverage from our offices, and I could hear her down the hallway, always grabbing the phone, always providing the most amazing customer service to folks on the phone and going the extra mile. So not only does she have that commitment to the families she works with on her caseload, she has that commitment to the Lyon County community at large by helping us out so much here in the office. The other thing we wanted to recognize Natasha for was recently we just had some huge success with our car seat checks. And Natasha was one of the major promoters here in Silver Springs, really encouraging families to make sure their car seats were safe. And because of her outreach, we had the largest turnout for car seat inspections in Silver Springs we've had within the last 3 years that we've ever been doing this program. So we wanted to give Natasha big praise this morning and say thank you for everything that she does and recognize her hard work and her dedication to the community.
Thank you, Ms. Holmes. Any comments from the commissioners?
Good job.
Seeing none. Well, yeah, again, just like with Mr. Bricketta, please pass on to Natasha Hemingway. Awesome job. Keep up the great work. And you just make Lyon County shine. Thank you. Was she on today by any chance?
She's right there in the middle.
Oh,
She is the Carly Tom. She's in the middle there. Jenna Dykes is her division manager and Carly Tom is her supervisor. So they're in the office there sharing in the celebration with her.
okay. Well, hey, now that I can see you, Natasha, you rock. Thank you very much.
Guys.
Okay, moving on. Commissioner comments. Commissioner Mortensen.
No, thank you.
Commissioner Hastings.
Just one little thing. Hey, Shayla, are you still there?
I am.
I just wanted to let you know your clock behind you is running about 5 minutes fast. Just sorry, Zoom's got you. But other than
No
that,
kidding, huh? I think it's, oh yeah, it certainly is.
Commissioner Gray.
I have nothing at this time. Thank you.
Commissioner Deany.
Nothing at this time. Thanks.
Okay, well, I don't have anything at this time, and it is 9:15. So let's roll through our time specifics. Okay, the first one, 4A, for possible action, approve an amendment to the collective, turn on the page, bargaining agreement with the Lyon County Employees Association regarding salaries, merit increases, and longevity payments for the 2020-2021 fiscal year.
Madam
Mr.
Chair,
Page.
Jeff Page, County Manager, for the record. All four of these items, I want to ensure that the board understands how we got to where we are. We began in January of 2019 looking at where we were with the budget. In March, COVID became an issue. We were very concerned about the economy with the shutdown that was going to happen. We budgeted 0 increases for all employees from top down to the newest hired employee. Since then, we've received consolidated tax revenues and figures for the year. We're in much better shape than we anticipated. And as we had told both collective bargaining units that if things looked better, we would come back to the board to request that appropriate increases be met. So that's where we are today. Eric, standing behind me, will get up and give you a discussion on all 4 issues. I'm very happy that we are to where we are. I'm very happy that we're in a position where we could hold true to what we said. I will put it in the words of one of the representatives for one of the associations, that in his 30 plus years of negotiating contracts, he's never had a county or a city come back to him with, we have money, and be open and honest about it. In the past, in other locations, they would just defer till the next year and then argue about it during negotiations. So kudos to Eric and to Josh for sitting down and looking at it, saying, yes, we can do this. So I'll turn it over to Eric and let him run with it.
Good morning.
Morning. Eric Malafsky, Human Resources Director. I'll run through items 4A through D pretty quickly. Each pertains to sort of a different group of Lyon County personnel. All of these groups, though, are being treated the same as far as the pay practices that are being reinstated. Item 4A pertains to the Lyon County Employees Association. We had a collective bargaining agreement for this fiscal year with this association in effect already. As the county manager indicated, that collective bargaining agreement called for a pay freeze in all respects. What the proposed amendment that we're bringing forward to you here on item 4A would do is it would reinstate merit increases and longevity payments retro to July 1st. It would implement a 2% COLA effective the next full pay period, which is October 17th. And it would adjust salary tables upward by 2% as of October 17th too. In other words, the bottom and the top end of each classification's pay range. Total cost of this is approximately $260,000, which would be funded from a contingency budget transfer.
Okay.
Do you want me to go through all 4 of them, or?
Well, I didn't read all 4 of them in, so I
Okay.
think we need to take action individually.
Okay.
So, with that being said, do I have any questions from commissioners? Seeing none, can I get a motion on 4A?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Gray here. I'd like to make a motion that we approve item 4A as presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Gray and a second by Commissioner Mortensen. Any further discussion? Any public comment at this time? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any nays? Okay, I wasn't sure if I heard all the ayes. Okay, motion passes. Okay, so 4B is for possible action, approve collective bargaining agreement with the Lyon County Sheriff's Employees Association for 2020-2021 fiscal year.
Okay, so a similar concept here with this association, and this is our sworn folks, our sworn law enforcement folks. We did not have a collective bargaining agreement in effect yet for the 2021 fiscal year. So this is the entire collective bargaining agreement. As far as the pay practices, they would be on the same terms as what I just outlined for the civilian folks, namely a 2% retroactive step increases in longevity payments back to 7/1, 2% COLA adjustment on 10/17, and a 2% shift in the salary tables on 10/17. Other changes from last year's collective bargaining agreement on things like shift bidding and that type of stuff that's non-fiscal are all reflected in the proposal that's appended to the agenda. I had not planned on going through that in any detail unless anyone has questions. Total estimated cost of the agreement is $8,100,000. Now that's the fully loaded cost. The additional cost brought about by the unfreezing of all those salary practices is $235,000.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Any questions from my fellow commissioners? Seeing none, can I get a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Gray here. I'd like to approve item 4B. I'd like to make a motion that we approve item 4B as presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Gray, a second by Commissioner Deeney. Any further discussion? Any public comment at this time? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes. 4C, for possible action, approve management pay plan for the fiscal year 2020-2021.
So this is our high-level leadership personnel, namely department directors and equivalent positions. Same terms here as for everyone else. Merit increases and longevity back to 7/1, 2% COLA as of 10/17, and 2% salary adjustment as of salary table adjustments as of 10/17. Approximate cost here is $50,000, which would be funded from a contingency budget transfer.
Thank you. Any questions by my fellow commissioners? Seeing none, can I get a motion, please?
Move that we approve item 4C as presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Hastings, a second by Commissioner Mortensen. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes. Okay, 4D, for possible action, approve master salary tables for 2021. I keep wanting to do that. 2020 to 2021. Approve base pay increase of 2% for all non-association eligible employees effective 10/17/2020, and approve reinstatement of merit increases and longevity payments for such employees retroactive to 7/1/2020.
So this captures the very last group of county employees that the preceding 3 items didn't. This includes like judicial employees, district attorneys employees, and confidential employees, anyone who's not eligible for an association or is not in the management pay plan. You've said the terms in the item, so I don't need to repeat them. They're the same as for the preceding 3. So
They're tongue twisters.
yeah, the total approximate cost here is $190,000, which would be funded from a contingency budget transfer.
Okay, any questions from the commissioners? Seeing none, can I get a motion, please?
Move that we
Madam Chair,
approve
Commissioner-
4D as presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Mortensen and a second by Commissioner Hastings. Any further discussion? Any public comment? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you, Eric. Okay, I'm going, oh. Got all the commissioners. Okay, county manager, Mr. Page.
Madam Chair, Jeff Page, County Manager for the record. So on the COVID front, the county is still on the watch list. We were supposed to have a meeting with the state task force today. I got an email last night that due to some technical difficulty with posting of their agenda, they postponed that meeting because they would be potentially be in violation of open meeting law. We're not submitting any additional plans. We're not submitting any additional recommendations. As you know, we filed our plan and we filed a response last week to being on the list. The issue at hand is that we're above 7% and we're not testing enough. As I've explained to some of the bureaucrats who've called me and had conversations, if they wish to drive out to Lyon County and drag people to testing, go right ahead. But those people are not testing. We're also concerned about what's going to happen with flu season. Specifically, there is through social media, there are some people who are afraid now to get vaccinated with the flu vaccine. And my concern isn't so much that it's the people who are healthy, it's people who, the seniors and the children who are most susceptible to the flu. So a lot of that kind of stuff going on, moving forward from there. Yesterday, I had a telephone conference with the Federal Aviation Administration in regards to the airport. They had sent me an email wanting information on a crash that we had at the airport. So I forwarded that email onto the airport people, received no feedback, had the phone call with FAA. When I finished with the phone call, I had received an email from the airport manager. What had happened is they had an airplane that landed in Silver Springs, had a blowout upon landing and went across the taxiway and struck a sign with the tip of his wing. Minor damage to the plane, minor damage to the sign. But it brought up a point that we're working with the airport manager and staff to ensure that we have a little better communication about what's going on out there and moving forward from that. But also in that conversation, which I did not realize, is that there's been significant changes at FAA staffing wise in Region 9, which is not uncommon. The federal government people get transferred and moved. But just about everybody that we dealt with during the amended agreement, with the exception of the director, nobody else has left. So we're going to try to, later on in October, November, try to schedule a Zoom meeting with all the new people, myself and county planning staff and the airport manager, so we can put faces to names and kind of get that moving forward. There is a construction project, as you know, ongoing at the airport at the addressing an apron. There's also a new building being built. They've got the concrete pad poured. They've kind of stopped. I'm not sure what's going on with that. I've reached out to the contractor and not heard anything back. So we know that's moving forward. We are moving forward with the Walker River Corridor Economic Development Regional Planning activity. Why Hooper couldn't come up with an easier name beyond me, through NNDA. Aaron is working with NNDA staff. We put together an RFP that is being posted on the website and published in the paper. to get a consultant to help us develop that study and the plan. We have met with the Walker River Paiute tribe. Aaron and I did last week by Zoom. They support it 100%, are sending us a letter of support. Mineral County supports it. We'll be reaching out. In fact, I need to work with NNDA with Amy to get over to Hawthorne, meet with the district attorney, who's the ex officio county manager there, have a conversation about where we are and get a few things taken care of. So we're moving forward on that front. And then finally, last board meeting, you folks had requested that HR make some final adjustments to the evaluation tool that you use for my evaluation, and that you requested a 360 evaluation of my direct reports, the people that report directly to me. I have received that. I've had received some not in my face, but personal conversations with a number of staff members in regards to that document and what they would like to see. So Aaron and I, as an example, are beginning some changes in the office, hopefully to help the board as well as staff have a better, quicker communication, better communication moving forward. One of the things that I noted is the folks who are outside of the Arrington area would like to see more of me, so that the employees want to know who the county manager is when he walks in the building. And I have to be quite honest with you, it's kind of odd when you're sitting having lunch in a business in Dayton or Silver Springs or Fernley, and some guy walks in wearing a Lyon County t-shirt or button-up shirt, and I have no idea who he is. Part of that's been due to the COVID. We've had changes, we've had retirements. So we'll work through a process of how we get out and about more often, at the same time trying to get things taken care of. I have talked with Commissioner Keller about this. I will be bringing to the board in November, possibly December, mid-budget year, once Josh has final figures and Mr. Foley is on a well-deserved vacation today. He went out and shot an elk. So he's enjoying that and cleaning up from that process. But I will be coming to you mid-budget year requesting authority to advertise for and hire a community development director. Have received some constructive criticism from not only the chair, but other commissioners in regards to things they want to see. I don't offer you excuses. All I can tell you is that we have got to do a better job with distributing some of the work that's being done in the county manager's office to the appropriate departments. And absent a community development director, it's very difficult to deal with some of the things. I can't ask senior planners to deal with political issues when it comes to development. They're trying to be fair and biased in the reports to the planning commission and to the board. So we'll see how that goes once Mr. Foley has the fiscal impact of where we are and if we can actually fund that position. The other portion of that is the state of Nevada is working on their emergency management preparedness grant and how they're going to fund things in the future. Once that's finalized and I know exactly how much money we can apply for, I will probably be coming back to the board requesting that the emergency management coordinator position be reinstated. The majority of that hopefully will be paid for with EMPG funding. And like any grant funding, there are strings that are attached to it, but they're not silly strings. They're actually good things that we need to be taken care of that we're not currently doing because we don't have the staffing or the time to get those done. So we're working on trying to enhance things. We've been since 2011, any position we have replaced, we've been replacing boots on the ground. That's been our motto, is get the people who actually do the physical work out there in the field. And so we're continuing on that path. We're at a point in time now where we need to get a couple of these positions filled. I expect that if things look well for next budget year, that you'll see from Mr. Foley request for some assistance in animal services, from public works side, some clerical assistance in public works, because those are positions we have not filled, we've not brought back. If you recall correctly, we eliminated 127 positions, and to date, I think we've brought back 12 to 14 positions, and some of those positions didn't exist before. We just brought things together and to do what we needed to do. I don't anticipate that we'll ever, in my lifetime, my career, that will 120 positions come back. We've learned to do things more. Roads is a perfect example. The Board of Commissioners authorized a road superintendent some time ago to buy some heavy equipment, and instead of being micromanaged, we purchased the right grader as an example that does 14 to 16 miles a day on East Walker Road versus a finishing grader that did 6 to 8 miles. So we're doing things more efficiently and effectively with equipment and technology we have without having to add extra staffing to some of those jobs. I guess I won't be the last thing. One of the questions that's been asked recently is in regards to the diesel tax. That funding goes to RTC. So we'll see next year's RTC will have more funding to do those things. It does not go to the roads general fund, if you will. So we don't hire staffing with it. It's more to contract and get some of the roads that have been are in really bad shape, get them up to par and up to speed. And part of that is working on a grant that Commissioner Keller has asked me to work on. And we've had some fair share challenges in dealing with the federal government and their requirements. I sent her yesterday or day before a copy of the environmental impact report that I have to do, this has been a great experience for us because now we have some idea of what that looks like and what we need. And so we're keeping track of that information that we're receiving because some of the stuff's not at our fingertips so that we know. I will be meeting with Public Works, specifically roads, utilities, and facilities sometime mid-October to identify infrastructure needs, and then reaching out with Far West and saying, okay, here's our priorities. We want these pre-engineered so that when we go to grant, Commissioner Keller can tell you the difficulty we had on trying to get a grant to do something Ramsey Weeks cut off, of getting pre-engineered documents from NDOT, then stuff that we had, and then it was in a newer version of AutoCAD than what we had available. So I had to have my 16-year-old kid take it to his AutoCAD to turn it into a PDF document, which he didn't have the proper software for the PDF doc. All this to go on to get a grant for $5-6 million. So we recognize that one of our weaknesses is that as the federal government becomes more and more restrictive with grant dollars, how to be better prepared. One of those things is that we'll be coming to you probably at budget time, seeking a substantial amount of money to pre-engineer projects so that we can, when grants become available, we can apply for them. We have stuff ready to go and move
Just
forward.
think you're going to be an expert on the next one.
Well, that brings me to my next point. I will never do this again. So we've been on this, what, 2 months now? 3 months?
4.
Okay. So we applied for a grant through grants.gov to assist the city of Fernley and Mark IV on building the freeway overpass over from exit 50 over the railroad to Highway 50. My role in that, the county's role in that, is we gave them our information for grants.gov, and the company they contracted with did all the legwork. I have spoken with those folks for a subscription of about $3,000 a year. They're at our bidding to take care of all that, depending on our workload. I mean, I look at who's listed on grants.gov to write grants, and some of the grants are much easier than the EDA grant. I will give you that. But we may be looking at doing more research into contracting a company that once we, okay, here's the idea, here's what we want to do, send it to that company so they can do all the paperwork side of the federal government requirements, so we have staffing to move forward. Because one of the things I've heard is, well, the school district has grant writers, kind of. What they have is they have people who put data into somebody else's website. Right. So we're working through that process, trying to reach out. You know, the state of Nevada has, comparatively speaking, from the days of Senator Reed to now, we have received the least amount of grant dollars than any other state in the nation. Part of that is politics. I will not argue that. The other part of that is that, as an example, some of the state grants we applied for. Why do I want to spend $40,000 in staff time and labor to get $25,000 grant? And so we're going to be looking at that and figuring out if there's a better way of doing this so we can apply for those big dollar grants to get some of this infrastructure stuff taken care of. And, sorry, Commissioner Keller and I met with BLM. Mr. Peisel was part of that conversation as well, and Mr. Homestead. We are working on a number of projects, trying to acquire some land in Fernley, our old landfill site up there, to potentially utilize that for a future use. Land in Silver Springs has been discussed for quite some time. 2 facilities directors now in regards to a regional park / ball field / athletic complex in the Silver Spring Stagecoach area, and as well as securing right-of-ways for a second bridge in Dayton, because right now I can probably build the bridge, but I don't want to be like we've done in the United States and build a bridge in Alaska that goes nowhere. So we had that conversation. They have all new staff. We sent off a letter to them outlining the conversation we had, and now we're now waiting for feedback of when we can meet with their real estate specialists and begin the process of moving forward. They did recommend that we may want to consider filing a lands bill with Congress in regards to what we want to do with BLM land. So I think Joe and Vida were on the board when we did the lands bill for the city of Yerington, the Lyon County Economic Development, whatever it was called. That took about 6 years to get through Congress.
And I worked on that from the other end.
What's that?
And I worked on that from the other end.
Yeah. That took about 6 years to get through Congress. Lands bills are not easy. Douglas County's is currently under review in Congress. But it's something we may want to consider. So I'm going to ask the board if you will start thinking about land uses that the federal government, either in South County with the Forest Service and BLM, or in North County with BLM, that you want to see, please send me an email. I will be reaching out to a couple of people in the private sector who have worked hard on lands bills, probably John McLean from RCI, and a gentleman out of Eureka County to come in and do a workshop for the board on lands bills and what's successful and what's not, and what it is we want to accomplish with the lands bill in the future. I am not one that is supportive of the state of Nevada getting all the federal lands back, because what the state of Nevada will more likely do is give those to the county, and we can't manage the parks we have, let alone all the land that's out there. So we'll have a further discussion after the first of the year as to what a lands bill would look like and what we want to do with the lands bill, and what's the purpose for going after that land. If it's strictly just because we don't want the federal government to have it, I will tell you right now that at least this staff member will oppose that, because we have to be able to manage whatever we're going to take on. So with that, I think I've overrun my time.
Any questions for Jeff?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Gray?
Hey, good morning, Mr. Page. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Hey, so you actually hit on a couple items I wanted to ask you about, but the first one on the airport, on the incident at the airport, do you know, was there any surface damage done to the runway? I mean, is there anything that's going to have to be repaired from that blowout? Did the gear dig in or anything?
No, from what the airport manager told me, there was no damage to the runway, and where he went across the dirt, they went and cleaned that up, and the little sign that he hit, it's a sign that tells you where to turn. They stood it back up, and it's good to go.
Nice. Okay. And you don't have to answer with who or anything, but have we had a selection yet for the code enforcement officer?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, we did.
Did skip over
We
that.
hired a gentleman by the name of Michael Johnson, who comes to us from Churchill counties and Pershing County. He has a great deal of experience in community development and planning. And there's a good possibility that we'll have him for a short period of time. I'm glad you reminded me. So one of our senior planners, Tammy, will eventually be moving to the further east Her husband's retired, and
No.
they're going to move. So we have a senior planner position open right now, and we've advertised. And so the gentleman we hired for code enforcement has also applied for that senior planner position. So we're moving forward and see how that goes. But Michael, in his experience in Churchill County, when he took over in planning there, shortly after he was there, the community development or the code enforcement officer retired, and the county, because it was in the recession, the county said, you're now in charge of code enforcement. So he has a great deal of experience. They have a little bit different code system, but he's worked with Mr. Homestead several times now and got up to speed and has hit the floor running and dealing with issues. So thank you for reminding me of that.
No worries. And you kind of touched on this one, the second bridge in Dayton. So now we've got engineering and stuff kind of at a certain percentage, and we're looking at Chaves still.
So we have a report from 2008. So that will have to be updated. What we wanted to know from BLM is how long it takes to go through that process to get the right of way in place.
Okay.
Because that's going to be the lengthy time. Getting an engineering of a bridge is, in comparison to the federal government system of getting those ROWs, is a short duration. So we wanted to know, one, is it even a possibility that we can get the right of way? They informed us that it was, and so now that we know that, I will sit down with the road department director and planning staff this month. We'll have a conversation about the Chavs property and what does that look like and where we go.
What's the most likely estimate pie in the sky at this point for that cost?
So we're about $1.5 million to $2 million per span for a bridge, and the Chavs Lane property is about a span and a half. The Cardelli Lane property is 12 spans, and then in order to make it functional for traffic, the county would have to buy the properties on both sides of Cardelli to widen the road. So now you're in fair market value. That is if the property owner is willing to sell, and if he's not, then the board has to determine whether they're willing to go to eminent domain, which at least in my 30 some odd years, the county has never gone to eminent domain. So the Chavs property from our perspective is a simpler inclusion, and it keeps the truck traffic out of Dayton Valley Road.
And how many spans was Chavs?
Chavs is about 1.5. Might be a little bit more, a little bit less, depending where exactly on Chavs we go with it, and what the river's done since 2008. You got to remember that's part of the challenge is that in 2008 when we had pre-engineering, the river was different than it is today. We've had a couple of floods since then.
So it's going to be considerably less expensive. I mean,
yes,
more than one. Yeah, I mean less than 1/10 the cost, especially if you have to throw in buying the properties on each side of Cardelli.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that the public safety folks would prefer Cardelli because it's closer and it's easier. But we're looking at, again, we have to, it's hard for boards to look that far down the road, but what does Dayton look like in 25 to 50 years? Having a bridge further out makes more sense as we grow and we change than having one right in the middle of Cardelli and then dumping all that truck traffic that's going to the industrial part of Dayton on Dayton Valley Road.
Got it.
Looking at the cost and expense too, Ken, if they go Chavs and we get the right of way through BLM, instead of looking at getting a bridge in 50 years, we might actually get it a little sooner so it can last the 50 years.
Correct.
Yeah, no, I'm a Chavs fan now. I mean, just looking at the cost and the impact on the community, I'm a Chavs fan. And so hold on to your hats. I'm getting ready to touch a third rail here. Okay, so I just want to throw the caveat out here. This in no way means I am pro brothel, pro prostitution, nothing. This next comment session is just purely about equal protection under the law. Jeff, where do we stand with businesses in this county? What are the only ones left not open to some degree?
I don't know how accurate that statement is. The only thing
what businesses are the only ones left? I mean,
yeah, brothels are the only ones that are not allowed pursuant to the governor's directive. the county, because I've been asked this question point blank by people in the brothel industry, why don't you just let us open? My answer to them is, if you want to take the risk of the state of Nevada coming down on you, you want to open up, then do what you got to do. My understanding is that the brothel industry throughout the state has sent a number of plans to reopen to the governor's office. I have no clue as to what the governor's done with those or not done with those. I don't mean to be offensive or humorous. I find it difficult to understand how you have 6-foot distancing in a brothel.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to take a side. I'm just saying that's, just wondering where we stood with that, and if we'd had any conversations with the governor. And, and we do know that some of the brothels in other counties that have closer ties to the governor have resumed some types of businesses without repercussions. So I don't know how
the sex industry statewide, brothels, strip clubs, those stores that have, I don't know what you call them, sex stores, I guess, where you buy products.
Adult entertainment
watch
stores.
Movies. The movie sections are closed.
Yeah.
So it's been consistent throughout the state in the sex industry, what's been allowed to open, what's probably more consistent than anything else business-wise, right? I mean, we can't have, well, until recently, we can't have any more than 50 people, but we can put people in a swimming pool cheek to cheek and not a problem. The sex industry has been pretty much shut down since March. I have not had a conversation with the governor. I've had a conversation with people at the state in regards to it. I have shared with them what I know from the brothel industry in Lyon County, what their plan looks like. Have had zero feedback from the state in regards to that. Most recently, if you saw the email that came out from NACO in regards to the governor's new directives, his LEAP group had zero input into that. And so I'm not sure what's occurring in the Capitol and what they're doing or why they're doing what they're doing. I'm appreciative of the fact we've opened some things up, but I'm very concerned that from a fiscal point of view, whether you're pro brothel or not, from a fiscal point of view, I'm losing about $80,000 a quarter. And big deal. Well, it is, because that's what we buy squad cars with. We don't have another funding source for squad cars. If they cannot open soon, they may not open at all. That's about $400 some odd thousand a year that we're going to have to find some way to make up to purchase squad cars and some light duty vehicles for the various offices. So I'm with you, Commissioner Gray. I've had a number of private conversations with state officials, and it doesn't seem to get, I'm not saying that they're not doing what they're doing. It just doesn't seem to get past the governor to have an open discussion or open dialogue.
All right. And I've shared your experience as well. I've emailed several people in the governor's office to no response. And LEAP, I don't know, it just seems like more like, flying by the seat of his pants decision-making with some of the stuff the governor's doing, right, wrong, or indifferent. I mean, the people he said we're going to have input haven't had the input. And also, with the, like I said, going back to the equal protection thing and, standard across the board, it really, it really is. And I know there's at least one brothel in Story County that's doing the out dating or escort services. And, say what you will, we know what's going on those things. So I wish it were one stroke for everybody, or, and if they want to, if they want to move in the direction at the state level of just closing the brothels, at least be honest about it. And anyway, that's all I've said. Like I said, I'm not pro either way. It's definitely not a money issue for me. I mean, if they close down and we have to find the money somewhere else, then we find the money somewhere else. But again, it's legal in the state, it's legal in the county, and I think we owe it to all businesses to treat them fairly and, within the confines of the law. So thanks for your input on that, Jeff.
I do want to make one comment in reference to something you said. So, because this has been asked I've been asked by the media to reference this. Why aren't we allowing escort services out of brothels? Because our county code doesn't allow for it. Clark County, Story County's code allows for escort services out of the brothels. Our county code does not. That's why it's not allowed. Anything else?
That's all I got, sir.
For Jeff. Okay, thank you. All right, elected official reports. Do we have any elected officials here today? Online. I'm not seeing any hands. I don't see anybody. Okay, moving on. Oh, and I guess the Dayton Justice Court is in the packet. And appointed official reports. We have no Josh. We know he's not going to come running in the door. Any other appointed officials? Oh, Amy, I didn't even see you hiding over there. You're behind the screen.
That was the plan.
That was the plan. Quit hiding.
Amy Geddes, Lyon County Library Director, for the record. We have quite a few events coming up in October, most of them being outdoor events. We are, of course, practicing all the appropriate social distancing and COVID procedures. Dayton, this weekend, we have on Saturday an outdoor book sale. In Smith, we have on October 10th, it's a Saturday, we have an outdoor book giveaway. They're going to take all the books that they have accumulated and give them to the public. So it's a good time to stock up there. Fernley has a book sale on October 17th. Theirs is $5 a bag. So that's a pretty good deal. You can, everything you can cram into a grocery sack for $5. Dayton is having a trunk or treat on October 28th from 5:30 to 7:30. It is going to be a drive-through trunk or treat with pre-quarantined candy that we will put in little baggies, and the kids will be able to drive by in their car and get their cool stuff. We are taking applications for people to decorate their cars, so we are going to treat it just like our regular Halloween, except for instead of getting out to get the candy, they'll just drive through and go, gimme. So,
Okay.
we're also doing that here in Yerington on October 31st on Halloween itself from 4 to 6 in the new library parking lot. We have the great new parking lot that we're going to make use of. So hopefully the people who don't necessarily want to go door to door can come out with their kids and not miss Halloween. So thank you.
Thank you. Hey, didn't you forget an announcement for the 24th?
Yeah, okay, sorry about that. Vida is the president of my foundation as well. For Lyon County Library Foundation is having a masquerade ball on October 24th. It's also a Saturday. So we've got every Saturday covered in October. There are still tickets on sale. We are going to have a grand old time at the Dayton Valley Golf Course on October 24th. So.
And my understanding, we're going to do a spin on the whole masquerade ball.
You gotta bring your mask out. It's a fun.
Thank you, Amy. Any other appointed officials? Seeing none. Advisory board reports. Any advisory board reports? I'm seeing heads say no. Consent agenda. And today our consent agenda is from 12 through 15D. And I believe we're pulling 13A to be heard separately. Is that correct? Okay, is there anything else on the consent agenda that somebody would like to pull and be heard separately? Okay, with nobody responding, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda polling 13A?
Move that we approve the consent agenda as presented minus 13A.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Mortensen, seconded by Commissioner Hastings. Any further discussion? Public comment? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. 13A, for possible action, extension of the lease agreement with Dayton Healthcare Center LLC for Lyon County Human Services Dayton office space for the 2-year period ending October 31st, 2022.
Madam Chair, Jeff Page for the record. If you'll notice what's in your packet and was provided to you this morning, the price is different. So we went from, I can't read because I'm old. We went from 2021 at $22,257.92 to $21,746, and from $22,354 to $22,616. So that's why it's pulled from consent, because the price on the agreement changed, it went down.
Madam Chair,
I'm sorry.
we
I
could
can't
not hear
see you
Mr.
right
Page
now.
when he
Sorry.
walked
Who
over.
was that?
This is Ken Gray. We
Oh,
couldn't hear Mr. Page when he walked over the screen at all. Or I couldn't anyway.
No, I couldn't either.
So the price on the lease has dropped from what's in your packet to a little bit lower. And that's why it's been pulled off consent, because the price is different. So we wanted the board to be aware of that it was been brought down, so that you can vote on what's before you, was sent out either by email or sitting on the desk today.
Thank you.
okay. Any more questions for Jeff on this? Okay, can I get a motion?
I move for that we approve agenda item 13A as presented with the update as forwarded by Aaron.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Mortensen and a second by Commissioner Deeney to approve 13A with the amendment to the lease. Any further discussion? Public comment? I'm assuming I have no public comment online because Jeff's playing with my screen.
Sorry.
So with that being said, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. No, I understand you have to do what you got to do over there, but it really messes with me when I'm looking for hands. Okay, we are down to planning items. So at this time, I'm going to take a 2-minute break. And we'll be right back. Ken, are you there?
I am now.
There he is. Okay. All right, I'm going to call this meeting back to order here. All right, planning issues. 16A for possible action. Robert B. and Barbara G. Lane zoning map amendment. Request to change the current zoning from C2 general commercial to RR1 rural residential, 1 acre minimum for a 1.51 acre parcel located at 7101 East Highway 50 in Dayton, Nevada, APN 19-211-08 PLZ 20-0016. Mr. Pizell, is he?
I am here.
There you are. Okay.
Thank you. For the record, Rob Pizell, planner. The subject site is generally located on the south side of US 50 between South Rainbow Drive and Chavs Road in Dayton. The staff report includes an exhibit showing the rough location from the assessor's parcel map. It also shows that it was created as lot 116 of the Pine Nut View unit number 3 final subdivision map that was recorded back in 1972. The subject site is approximately 1.51 acres in size. Access to the subject site is from a frontage road that runs parallel to US 50 between South Rainbow Drive and Chavs Road. The subject site currently is occupied by a manufactured home on well and septic. The site is located within an area that's designated as an ex-unshaded flood zone. The site itself is relatively flat, no significant topographic issues that would preclude rezoning this property. There are no existing Lyon County Utilities Department water or sewer lines in the area, as shown in an exhibit in the staff report as well. The site's currently zoned C2. They are proposing to rezone it to a rural residential 1 acre minimum, the RR1 zoning district. The staff report includes the RR1 development standards and then reviews the findings when looking at a zoning map amendment such as this. The first finding is the proposed amendment is consistent with the policies embodied in the adopted master plan and the underlying land use designation contained within the master plan. The staff report includes an exhibit that shows where the parcel is located roughly within the Dayton area. It is located within an area designated as suburban in the Dayton Valley with the 2010 comprehensive master plan. The staff report also includes a detail from the Dayton land use map. The parcel itself is highlighted in red. You can see it's in an area that's designated as low density residential, which is the yellow. Across the street, you do have commercial designation as well as suburban designation. That area designated as suburban is the Copper Canyon development. So the site itself, or the proposed zoning map amendment, would create an area that would fit within that low density residential designation under the master plan. The staff report includes some goals and policies that this zoning would meet. Probably the key one is policy LU 1.2, residential development patterns in neighborhoods, and basically goal LU2, services coordinated with growth. The second finding is the proposed amendment would not be inconsistent with the adequate public facilities policies contained within this title. Again, as noted above in the staff report, LCUD, Lyon County Utilities Department, does not have any facilities in this area, either water or sewer lines. The subject site is more than 1 acre in size. As such, the utilization of an individual domestic well and a septic system is sufficient given the current circumstances. The third finding is the proposed amendment is compatible with the actual or master plan adjacent uses. Staff report includes a table looking at the surrounding properties to the north, south, east, and west. You'll note that the current uses include single-family residential uses or vacant undeveloped commercial parcels. The master plan, as noted above, the low-density residential to the east, west, and south, and then commercial to the north, and some low-density residential to the north as well. And then you look at the zoning in the last column. You can see to the north, it's typically zoned rural residential 2 with a transit or a trailer overlay, and C2. You've got some SR2 and C2 or CC under the Title 15. To the south, you've got RR2. To the east, you've got RR2 and RR5, and to the west, you've got RR2 as well. So staff believes that that the application is in conformance with the master plan and surrounding uses. The staff report includes an aerial photo showing the surrounding zoning, surrounding properties as well. We do want to note that on September 16th, the Planning Commission did vote to forward a recommendation of approval of the zoning map amendment. And you can see on the detail in the staff report showing the surrounding property zoning, it is the only commercial property on that south side of the freeway or of the highway. With that, I'll try and answer any questions. Staff is recommending approval, and as I noted, the Planning Commission forwarded a unanimous recommendation of approval for the zoning map amendment.
Okay, do we have any questions for Mr. Pizell? Seeing none, can I get a motion then?
Move that we approve 16A as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Mortensen, and we had a tie, but we'll take the second from Commissioner Gray. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Have the applicant here by any chance? I just don't want to ignore anybody. No?
I believe the applicant is is listening in.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, I'm not seeing any hands. So with that being said, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, 16B, for possible action, HSKS LLC, Series 167, appeal of Planning Commission technical denial of a major variance application continued from September 3, 2020, request to allow for a reduction of the required street side yard setback and RR2, rural residential 2-acre minimum, zoning district from 30 feet to 10 feet at 1190 Fort Churchill Road, APN 018-153-16, PLZ 20-0011. Mr. Pizell?
Thank you. For the record again, Rob Pizell, planner. The staff report goes into a little bit of the history as to why it's appearing before the Board of Commissioners in September. Pardon me, in August, the Planning Commission was minus a member when this agenda item came before them. Variances typically are only heard by the Planning Commission. With the missing Planning Commissioner, it was a split vote when it came to making a decision. There was a motion to approve the variance with the Planning Commission. However, it went to a 3-3 tie. As noted in the staff report, under when a Planning Commission on a variance request does not come to a majority decision, when it comes to a tie vote, it is a technical denial. For that reason, the applicant's representatives did submit an appeal. That appeal was heard by the Board of Commissioners on September 3rd. We had a commissioner who was absent at that meeting. There was a motion to deny the variance. That motion was a 2-2 vote. And with that, there was another motion to continue the item to this meeting. The variance request is pretty straightforward. In essence, there is a non-conforming lot. The subject parcel is located at the southwest corner of Fort Churchill Road and Virginia Street in Silver Springs. Staff report includes an exhibit or a detail that shows the location of the parcel in an aerial photo pointed out by a black arrow. The subject site is approximately 0.17 acre in size, or 7,500 square feet, created by the Silver Springs subdivision final map that was recorded in November of 1954. It's currently vacant and undeveloped. Staff report notes that this was a point of confusion at the Planning Commission meeting when one of the commissioners felt that, or indicated that when they had inspected the site, the manufactured home was already placed on the parcel. Further investigation after the Planning Commission meeting found that the Planning Commissioner was in error and had gone to the wrong location, and the subject site remains vacant and undeveloped. As noted in the staff report, there's no physical feature that would inhibit development of the parcel. There are no floodplain issues with regards to development of the parcel. The zoning is what comes into play with regards to this parcel. The parcel is currently zoned RR2. That is a rural residential designation with a 2-acre minimum. As noted above, the actual parcel size is 0.17 acre in size. The problem falls when you get into the zoning setback standards for the building placement in the 2-acre parcel development requirements. The staff report includes a table that indicates what the building placement requirements are in the corollary zoning. And the issue becomes with the front and side street setbacks. The front and side street setbacks are 30 feet required. The staff report goes into, again, a review of the fact that it is a non-conforming lot recorded back in 1954 under Chapter 1520206 of the Lyon County Code regarding non-conforming lots. You'll note under subsection B, when a use is proposed on a non-conforming lot, that is one conforming in all other aspects, with the exception of the applicable setback requirements, the property owner may apply for a variance pursuant to Chapter 203. In essence, by applying the SR2 zoning setbacks of 30 feet on Fort Churchill and Virginia Street, along with the required rear yard setback of 20 feet and side yard setback of 10 feet, the staff report shows a detail as to what happens when you apply those setback requirements. The required setbacks are highlighted in yellow in that detail. And what it does is it creates a building pad of approximately 1,000 square feet. The only problem with that is it's 10 feet in width. You may know that the standard residential bedroom is approximately 10 feet by 12 feet or 10 feet by 10 feet. So in effect, this would create a shotgun house if you built within the required building area. Based on that information and that review, the property owner submitted for the major variance to reduce the street side setback, Virginia Street side setback, from the required 30 feet to 10 feet in order to place a manufactured home with a living area of approximately 1,200 square feet on the subject site. The staff report goes through what findings you need to look at with regards to a variance application. In essence, we feel that particularly finding number 1, by reason of exceptional narrowness, shallowness, shape of the lot in question, or by reason of exceptional topographic conditions or other extraordinary and exceptional circumstances, the strict application of the provisions of the setbacks for under the SR2 zoning district does create a practical difficulty and exceptional and undue hardship for the property owner. We also believe that finding 2 can be met. The circumstances or conditions do not generally apply to other properties in the same land use district. And we also agree with finding 3, that granting the variance will not result in material damage to the property or other properties in the vicinity, substantial impairment or natural resources, or be detrimental to the public health, safety, and general welfare. There are also some standard conditions you have to attach to a major variance request, and staff recommended both to the Planning Commission and to the board that those conditions, if the application is approved, be included in their motion. As noted, the last meeting, September 3rd meeting, where this item was heard, there was a tie vote. And with that, I will try to answer any questions you have.
Hey, yeah, Mr. Faisal, I actually have a question. I'm one of the ones that opposed it last time. My thought process has not changed. I think that giving a 10-foot setback rather than a 30-foot on a corner lot there is putting that home, literally 10 feet off the roadway. But I have a question. We're basing all of this discussion on the fact that the zoning currently is zoned for a 2-acre minimum. What is the county requirements on setbacks on corner lots for a 1/4 acre lot or a 12,000 square foot lot? And I say that because that whole neighborhood, other than this handful of slivers that were designed back in the 50s for single wide homes, are all 1/4 acres. So what would the setback on a quarter acre corner lot be?
In this instance, the property would be, to rezone the property, you would rezone it to the suburban residential 12,000 square foot minimum. The building placement requirements would be on the front property line, it would be 20 feet. On the side property line, it would be 20 feet. Excuse me. Let me start over again. The setback requirement from the front would be 25 feet. The side street setback requirement would be 20 feet. The rear would be 20 feet and the side would be 10.
Okay, so the front was 25.
Front was 25.
And
the side street would be 20. Rear would be 20 and side would be 20.
Okay. So for us to give a variance to 10 foot, we'd actually even be granting something that is 15 feet from what would be required on a 1/4 acre corner lot. So again, I'm back to setting precedents in an area. You were trying to say last time that we weren't setting a precedent. There was only a handful of these lots. And I agree, there is only a handful of these lots in that area. But the majority of the lots in that whole area there that was subdivided are 1/4 acres. So we would be reducing even from that, the 20 foot down to, I apologize, I'm thinking 25, 20 down to 10. So I'll open it up for the other commissioners.
Well, and if I may, Commissioner Keller, you may remember a number of those 17 lots that staff was able to identify similarly would be impacted. A large number of those lots were located in the northwest quadrant of the intersection of 95A and 50, which has a land use designation under the master plan of commercial, but are currently zoned for residential. Now, we've had one development application in the 4 years that I've been here in that section of the Silver Springs, was for a manufactured home park. And the board at that point in time took the position that the land use designation of commercial precluded them from approving that project. So if that's the precedent that's been set, that whole northeast quadrant or northwest quadrant in Silver Springs, the board's not going to support residential in that area. So that takes out, I believe, 9 of the 17 lots there. So it's still, staff believes that still supports the position that we're not creating a precedent throughout the older section of Silver Springs. And with that, I'll be quiet.
Still believe that the reason why we have set side and front setbacks is for public safety. So I still feel that taking it from a 30-foot setback to 10 is too much. I mean, if you was to go with the general neighborhood of the quarter-acre lots, that would be a 20. I think that would be acceptable. But 30, to take a 30 down to a 10 is just asking too much. Hence why it's a major variance. But I will open it up for the other commissioners to ask questions. Commissioner Deany?
No question.
Commissioner Gray?
I do have one. So at that intersection of Fort Churchill and Virginia, with only a 10-foot setback, I mean, well, let me ask a quick question. Is that a controlled intersection there? Is there a stop sign or anything there that's
Not, I don't believe at present there is, Commissioner Gray. There's not
Okay.
sufficient traffic at this point in time on any of those streets.
You don't live there.
Thank you.
okay, so the next question is, I mean, won't that potentially cause a visual hazard for traffic? Only being set back 10 feet, you know, if the structure's 10 feet and if there's any shrubbery or anything that goes there, you run the risk of obstructing the view of traffic.
Not in this instance. Typically, on a residential street like that, you do have a sight distance triangle. This structure would be outside of that sight distance triangle, and that is an AASHTO standard. But yeah, the structure itself would be out of that sight distance triangle.
Okay.
Commissioner Hastings?
So Rob, real quick on that, I'm looking at the overview of the property. It appears there's a fair amount of dirt area between the street and the where the property is. Do we know what that approximate distance is how wide that is?
I'm not exactly sure what Commissioner Hastings is asking about. There's a relatively wide right-of-way dedication in that area.
Right, and
not,
so,
yeah.
yeah, I'm looking at a different picture, but if you go in on this one, so
Yeah.
outside of the red box, but between where let's say on the side there, the long side towards the road, there appears to be between where the actual road edge is and where the property is being lined out, there's a fair amount of easement there or dirt. Do we know how wide that section is? What additional space is it giving in addition to the property line to the road?
Yeah, there is a drainage swale that runs between the property boundary and the existing street improvements in that area. But I don't know the width right off the top of my head.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, do we have the applicant here? Everybody wears a mask. I don't know who's who. If you would like to say something before we move forward, please step up, state your name for me, because all I have is eyes.
Just everybody else has taken their mask off while they're here, so
Yeah.
thank you. Nathan Robison, civil engineer for the record with Robison Engineering.
And Kevin Ward, Star West Homes, so I'm happy.
Oh, okay.
The owner is HSKS LLC, which we both represent in some capacity or another. I really only want to say a few things. Thank you for the opportunity to come before you again. We respect it's been an exercise in patience for both commissions and the planning staff. We educated ourselves quite a bit afterwards and learned a little bit of the intent of the advisory board, even though we were unsuccessful in our attempts to appear before them and sort of take our lumps and learn from them directly. Correspondence and inference from the last meeting informs us. Going back to 1950, when the initial map was filed to try and create these lots, there were over 2,000 of them, and all of them were 50 feet wide in the initial. That seems to have been revised through a process where most of them were wide enough, 100 or 150 feet, through lot line abandonments to make a more practical buildable area. I think we're held hostage a little bit by that 2-acre overlay, you know, to the magnitude larger than the land actually supports. But that 30 feet to 20 feet variance is well pointed out. And I think Chair Keller, you said it's a big ask, to quote at the last meeting. And had we been aware of that impression, I think we would have applied for a smaller application. And actually, at the end of this, and that's one of the reasons Kevin is here, is a more authoritative voice. He can, on behalf of the owner, accept the smaller variance application, even though it's now 4 months too late for us to make that in writing. But if it's within the commission's purvey to approve with a modification, we would be grateful for your consideration on that. The only thing I really want to add is from a 30-foot to a 27-foot variance, to go from a 10-foot wide buildable area to a 13, which is the smallest legally manufacturable home, that 3-foot variance would still be a major variance application since it's 10% or more of the 30. And so even if we were proposing only a single wide, which has been mentioned as sort of the original intent of the development, we'd still be here asking you for a major variance. And
I get that.
Yeah, that feels a little funny. I also think it's not a coincidence that all of the 50-foot wide remaining lots are not developed. I think that's because of the viability for living standard and quality of living of putting so small a home on a place. And I would like to suggest that if any of these lots are going to turn from vacant to tax-paying property owners, they'll probably have to have a major variance granted one by one. We have no intention of setting a precedent. I don't know if HSKS owns more of the lots or has any intention to, but it's a problem that won't go away unless the lots just remain vacant. And we appreciate your sort of big picture, good of Lyon County and good of its expanding population consideration in that sense. And appreciate your time.
Does any of the commissioners have any questions for the applicants or representatives? Okay, thank you. I've had a question.
Excuse me, Commissioner Hastings, if the operator can.
I can't see you with that train. I didn't realize you had your hand up.
Okay, I apologize. If the person operating the screen can scroll down into the background material of the application, the applicant has included a photograph with the layout of the manufactured home on the lot that will give you a better perspective as to where it'll sit as proposed on the parcel. And I apologize, I didn't point that out before. Thank you.
Is that a dog?
Yeah, it's one of my huskies. Sorry.
Okay.
There you go.
And Madam Chair, if I could comment as well to Commissioner Hastings' point, there is a
Can I get you to stand closer?
Sure.
Just
Turn
to
over
comment
the-
on the point that Commissioner Hastings had made, there is a significant drainage swale along Virginia there as well.
Oh, yeah.
That provides a considerable distance between the home and the road, between the home and the road, if that's a consideration.
I know I know the lot very well.
Oh,
Lived in Silver Springs going on 27 years, and I know every lot there.
yeah.
So I got a question for Mr. Rye. Okay, we have an application that's asking for one thing. We've had a little bit of discussion here of being able to modify that. Can we make a motion for something different than what the application is? Or do we have to bring it back? I don't want to step off the cliff here, so help me out.
Steve Rye, District Attorney. As a general matter, if what they're modifying the application is less than the original request, you can do it without a new application. If it substantively changes the application, it would have to be redone in another hearing.
Yeah, I knew when it came to money and stuff, we're doing less. I just didn't know on a planning if we can do something less, so we can't.
You can do something less than is in the original application.
Okay.
Then I have a question for Jeff. Would it be possible to take like a 5 or 10 minute break and you can have a discussion? I know Rob Peisel's not here in the room. Have a discussion and of what they'd be willing to do, maybe, and before we just throw a motion out there. I don't want to batter it a bunch because I'd like to know what they'd be willing, what would work, and then we can go to the commission for further comment.
Mr. Peisel, I will be calling you.
Will that work?
Very good.
Okay. At this, do you want 5 or 10?
Make it 10 minutes.
10? Okay, we're going to take a 10-minute recess and we'll return. Does that work? Huh? We're gonna go play on the swings. Cool. Oh, I know. Yeah. There's other ones there, and back in the 50s, what they did is what he was talking about looked like they revised, or what they did is they did quarter-acre lots with a center line, and as they sold the lots, they could either sell half for a single wide or a double lot, which is a quarter acre, for a double wide. And this was back in the 50s. I mean, we didn't have our planning and building departments that we have today. So
Unfortunately, they're all on corners.
they
Like
are
the one
all,
that
every one of
opposite
those
end of
is
that
on a
lot.
corner.
There's not a 6-foot lot in the middle of the lot because probably for that very reason.
Right.
Side yard.
What would it look like if somebody with their pickup truck and a 21-foot horse trailer made a turn at that intersection?
It ended up in
Well,
the
see,
drainage
and
swale.
my concern is we are in the rules. We've got kids on quads. We've got people in cars that ignore the stop signs as it is. And then you're going to put a house 10 foot off. And my other concern is the drainage swell.
How do you scroll down to that map that shows the thing colored in red?
They would have to do it. I don't have the mouse. I'll be back, guys.
How you doing?
Maybe
That was fine.
solve the problem if they change. Show the house map. So the truck vision triangle is bigger. Boy, that property is almost landlocked.
Oh, yeah, it's almost useless.
And the lot on the other opposite end of that same block is the same size. So somebody buying that lot, this same gentleman probably buying that lot, coming back and asking for the same thing again. And then going down 2 streets where each end of the block has the same thing, 5 or 1. You've been waiting very patiently through this whole process for something. I believe we're next month. Ah, all right. I believe. We'll see what the rest of the board change. What are you gonna do? My name is Russ Wright. I live in Dayton. Oh, I do. And we come out here. Yeah, and then I've been accused of being here. We formed a new nonprofit interested in revitalizing the whole town park. And I run out of my cards, and I'm saying that I had extra allowed because our secretary is sitting right here, and she hasn't printed me any new cards. And so I'm out of cards, otherwise I was happy to give you that. No, my better half is a director. Yeah. I'm so sorry to see the train station. Yes, Andy is vice president of Old Town, a friend of Old Town. Oh, they had a water system in that building in Bergen that they had any sort of security system, that fences or whatever made out of Bergen. Yeah, that was ours. Yeah. Unfortunately. I heard an interesting no, they found the person who admitted to arson, but he set grass fire. He said, yeah, he said he didn't burn that place down. And there was no, he was found alongside fire, he was set by witnesses. Was it owned by Wolverine? Yes, yeah, he set a fire there. He set a fire near the community garden, and he set one somewhere else. Apparently, he was using a bottle of acetone, and there was no residual acetone. Oh, okay, so that's pretty neat. However, anybody that says that the arson investigators asked him to evaporate quickly and burn so completely that you may or may not ever find accident. But he has not copped to that. He's touched the everything. I think the investigation is complete. I don't know how the DA would probably know more about arson investigations of the people. But from what I understand, the investigation is reasonably complete without that all. Few minutes of recess. Apparently, nobody's back yet, so finish making your notes. We emailed the fellow who's the advisory board. No, we're not. I don't think anybody here is Silver Springs. They all. We were putting a mobile home in my backyard. We actually try to come to every commissioner's meeting in support of the board, and to kind of provide some oversight also for a couple of other organizations. Oh, that's it. Do you think that you might change your overall opinion if you actually increase an actual setback while you reduce the side first? Seems to be this is a conflict that's potential for traffic and stuff like that. So if you increase that, you actually visually corner. My thought was coming back on the street because all the countries smarter than the other guy, but we had
Okay, if I get everybody to take their seats. Call the meeting back to order. So, Mr. Pizell or Mr. Page, do you want to update us?
Certainly. For the record, Rob Pizell, planner. The applicant is asking to revise their major variance request to reduce the side yard setback to 10 feet, to reduce it to 16 feet on the side street setback area from Virginia Street. They will be able to place, with that revision, they will still be able to place a 24-foot wide manufactured home on the property and meet the rest of the required building setbacks from the property lines.
So, Mr. Pizell, the way I understand it, I mean, the reason why my question on a quarter-acre lot earlier was I believe the zoning of a 2-acre minimum really should have never been on this property in the first place. So keeping in conformance with the rest of the neighborhood at quarter-acre, that setback would have been 20 feet. So by them accepting 16, now we're asking for a more of a minor variance rather than a major variance. Is that correct?
No. Let me clarify something with regards to the difference between minor and major variances. Title 15 is very explicit as to what constitutes a minor variance and can be done by the code administrator. It only allows, Title 15 only allows a minor variance to be done by administratively for 10% or less reduction in off-street loading requirements, 10% or less for building setback or height, and 10% or less for off-street parking or open space areas, and a 10% increase in accessory dwelling unit floor area where an existing accessory building is converted into an accessory dwelling. So anything other than those 4 circumstances is a major variance and goes before the Planning Commission.
Right. Well, and I'm sorry, I kind of made that a technical question. I didn't mean it to sound that way because we still have a 2-acre minimum zoning that we're dealing with. I was just looking at more of, in reality, the quarter-acre lots They were at 20, and now they're just asking us to reduce that by 4 foot instead of the whole thing. So I apologize. I know that the zoning is actually for the 2 acre minimum with 30 foot. So
Right. Steve Ryan, I think the chairman makes a point that the board could consider it, as you stated it, with the surrounding properties and that as you make a decision, as has already been stated in the staff report, I think recommended for approval. So that can be part of your evaluation analysis you went through.
all right.
Correct. I think the rest of the findings can be made even with the revision proposed by the applicant.
Okay. So do I have any questions from the other commissioners? Okay, with that being said, do I have a motion from one of the other commissioners? Okay, with that.
But I'll go. Sorry, I was having trouble getting off of mute.
Oh, okay.
I will move that we should approve item, this is 17B.
16B.
I'm sorry, 16B, approve item 16B as presented with the revised setbacks as stated by the senior planner, Rob Pizell.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Hastings and seconded by Commissioner Mortensen to accept 16B as presented with the setback adjustment. And that would be, just to clarify, that would be the 16 foot, correct? Mr. Hastings?
Yes.
Okay. So any further discussion?
Madam Chairman, just quickly, staff would recommend, based on the findings as listed in the staff report and subject to the conditions of approval as required by Title 15.
Please add that.
We skipped over that, didn't we?
Yeah, sorry about that. Please add that to my motion, including all the findings and conditions as stated in the staff report.
Second still stands.
Okay, so we still have a first and the second still stands. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming back and helping us work this out.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're back to the regular agenda. County Manager 17A for possible action to approve a proposal from the Carson River Estates Limited Purpose Association, CRE/LPA, for the Lyon County to take over ownership and maintenance of 2 small retention ponds and a public walking path, requested by CRE/LPA.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Jeff Page, County Manager for the record. I was approached about a month ago about this. I informed them that I didn't have the authority to approve or disapprove. I had to go to the board. They sent me their request or proposal, which is in the packet, as well as up on the screen. We had facilities director went out and took photographs, which is also in your packet, of the area. Based upon a number of items, staff recommends denial. One, this is not the only association within that area. And our concern is if we approve this, if the board approves this, then what are we doing with the next one and the next one and the next one? This is a relatively simple one, to be quite honest with you, that if we were going to take something over. It's 2 retention ponds and a path. The others are more complicated with roads and all kinds of things. The second part of this is that we recommend denial is with the current facilities department staffing and dealing specifically with the pathway. We aren't equipped to deal with a paved pathway for facilities, parks, recreation staff to properly address. So we'd have to contract that out if we had to do any major repairs or maintenance, which even with utilizing road equipment, we don't have anything small enough to do the job the way it's supposed to be done. Legal has recommended denial due to precedent and the lack of unique circumstances in this instance, which would justify the county taking over the improvements. Of course, and then I have recommended denial as well. Mr. Foley from has commented on the finance department comments as well. So I'm here to entertain any questions. I believe the applicants are in the audience to address any questions the board may have.
Any questions for Mr. Page? Ken, was that your hand up or you just motioning?
No, I'm just motioning, sorry.
Okay. With that being said, can I get a motion then?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we deny this, just deny item 17A as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Gray and seconded by Commissioner Deeney. Any further discussion?
I'd just like to say something, Madam Chair.
Yes.
This is exactly the kind of thing that concerns me with these associations and, you know, the spaces. I mean, they either, you know, the developer goes out of business before the association stood up. They decide they don't want to do it anymore, you know, things like that. The county just does not have the resources to put it on it because this will eventually, you know, fall on the backs of all the taxpayers in the county. And, you know, I don't like these things.
Okay, any public comment? Oh, we got somebody.
Yes.
Please state your name for the record.
My name is Joe Donato. I'm the current president of the Carson River Estates Limited Purpose Association. Disappointed by the recommendation. However, we did look at the letter from Mr. Oh shoot. Excuse me for a moment, please. I believe he's the director of facilities, Mr.
Homestead.
Homestead, thank you. Sorry. Basically, I wanted to thank the Board of Commissioners and Madam Chairperson for even entertaining this. However, in addition to the takeover, the monies that are currently in possession or possessed by the Board of or the Limited Purpose Association would be transferred over to the county. And basically, we have quotes from Sierra Nevada Construction for resurfacing the path. Sierra Nevada Construction is the same company that did resurfacing last year on Dayton Valley Road. And the amount that would be turned over would be something in the neighborhood of about $33,500. The quotation from Sierra Nevada Construction to do a type 2 slurry seal on the entire path is something just under $15,000. The maintenance on the path has been done by a bunch of the volunteers of the neighborhood. There's 87 homes in Carson River Estates. The path is actually a public access easement that runs on private property from Holly Lane to the end of Holly Lane. Basically fronts the river for perhaps half of the path. It's a nice path to walk on. It is asphalt, and we are now about 90% complete on the repair of cracks, all of which should be completed by the end of October. The 2 retention ponds were recently cleared. We clear them once a year. The cost of clearing the retention ponds is, this year, it was $510. And I have quotes from Sierra Nevada Construction and the Saluna company who does the clearing of the retention ponds, if that would be something that the commission would like to see. So basically, if with the 33.5 that we have available to transfer over, that would leave the commission, or the county, I guess I should say, with something in the neighborhood of $18,000 surplus revenue. I know it's not a whole lot of money, but it's not a whole lot of cost to do these things either. We understand the county itself does not have the facilities to, and would have to contract with somebody to resurface the path. That's why we've already done quoting and so on. We actually have two different quotes, but Sierra Nevada Construction is the one that seems to be favored by the county because that's who the county used. Also, Sierra Nevada Construction did some repair on the streets, surface streets, in our Carson River Estates area, in the 87 home area. They did not do resurfacing on the streets. They just did crack repair. And that's for driving on. The path is only strictly for walking and bicycling. And I don't know that it really needs to be resurfaced. It is a walking path for bicycles. That being said, we've already done the maintenance on the ponds for this year. Won't need to be done again until next year. And the crack repair on the walking path is about 90% complete and should be completed by the end of October. After that, if it was needed to have the resurfacing and the county decided to accept our proposal, we would see that the county would be having an estimated revenue remaining of something in the neighborhood of $18,000 after what we would give them. Would you want copies of these quotations, or did you just want to proceed with the vote?
You can always give copies to staff if you want to leave copies. I don't think that's us moving forward with the vote today. Commissioner Gray, do you have a question?
Yeah, I do for the applicant. Okay, so if this is so well, funded and everything else, why would you want the county to take over the administrative end of it and the responsibility for it? And, why are 85% of your homeowners in favor of getting rid of it?
Well, prior to the declarant, which was Lennar Reno, transferring management of the Limited Purpose Association over to the Homeowner Controlled Association, approximately 88% of the homeowners actually signed a declaration indicating that they didn't want to have any association at all. Based on that.
Did you guys know this association was in place when you were purchasing your homes?
Some of us did, some of us were not informed and probably did not read through the documentation that they signed when they took ownership of the lots.
Okay. Next question is, I'm assuming they're paying $42 a quarter. Why not drop those fees and ease some of the, some of the burden on the residents? I just cannot see taking this, and at some point it will become a burden. If it has to be resurfaced twice and maintained for 15 years, that's going to eat up. It'll probably eat up long before that, the $35,000. Not to mention liability issues and tax issues. Why should the rest of the taxpayers in Lyon County assume this liability? I'm not seeing the connection here.
Well, the path was initially put in without a surface slurry on it. It's about an inch thick asphalt, and a slurry surface on it wouldn't hurt anything. However, the path itself is owned by the homeowners that back up to it. It's not owned by the association. And the association is given the responsibility for maintaining it. The path right now, if we were to put a slurry seal on it, that seal would be good for approximately another 15 years. It would rejuvenate the path into just about like new condition. As far as the maintenance of the two retention ponds go, the amount left over would be substantial enough to maintain the retention ponds for basically the additional life of 15 years for the walking path. That was basically our thinking.
Okay, so what about, if you guys are looking to get rid of this, why not just turn it over to the homeowners and let them get rid of that easement and let them have their property back and then reduce your fees just to maintain the ponds?
Well, the public access easement is controlled by some planning maps. And without changing the planning maps and getting approval through the county, we could not do that.
And you guys are not willing to go through that process, or?
No, I mean, if that's a process that we might try to do, that would be great. But would that change it from a public access easement? Because it is open and it's a path that's available to anybody in the world.
Yeah, I like I said, I just can't get there from here, putting that on the back of the county and the taxpayers.
Commissioner Hastings.
So I'm just gonna ask the question, if maintaining it is such an issue and all of that, rather than turning it over to the county, maybe the association should consider taking up the asphalt and leaving it as a dirt path. I mean, something like that would make more sense without the county having to take it over and take on the responsibility and liability. It's just something to think about in the future. I mean, we've had our own county manager say, yeah, our roads are getting too expensive. We might have to take up asphalt on our roads. But I mean, you know, no, we're not there. But from a maintenance side, it seems like maybe taking that money you have, removing the asphalt, leaving it as a dirt walking path for the citizens in your area, your 87 homes, might make more sense.
Yes, I understand, and we've actually considered that. To answer the other question from Commissioner Gray, the $42 a quarter assessment, $168 a year, is actually nothing but the cost of the management company, the tax preparation on the 2 retention ponds that are owned by the association, the insurance. There is no additional levy right now on the 87 homes for maintenance of the path. So we basically trimmed that down as much as we can. We actually pay $800 a month for the management company to manage the association. Just to answer your question, sir.
Okay. Any other commissioners have questions? Okay, as it stands, we still have a motion and a second. Is there any other public comment on this agenda item? Okay. Mary Ann, go ahead and come on up, state your name, please.
For the record, Mary Ann Seacheck. I live in Stagecoach. I'm a Lyon County taxpayer. I will never go to this particular path or to this particular retaining ponds. And just as a matter, I would not want to pay for that unless, of course, we had the same situation in the area where I live and the county could come and put a path in for us and maybe a retaining pond or two. Then it would be fair for the county to pay for that walk, but for the county to take on the responsibility and cost for landscaping, basically in another area that none of the, no one from Yerington is going to go there to take advantage of the path. I don't think it should be the responsibility of the county. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other public comment?
My name is Russ Wright. I live in Dayton, and I actually have walked on that walking path, mostly by accident, but we've had discussions at this commissioners meeting about subdivisions and subdivision maps. And one of the common concerns is that when counties take over roads and sidewalks and maintenance of the amenities in a subdivision, generally the developer makes no provision for the ongoing expense of common area and whatnot. So I guess my question would be to the homeowners association, would they consider as part of their homeowners association fee, an ongoing and forever stipend to the county, if the county were to take this over, that 4 cents per hundred or $1 a month or some ongoing homeowner for this subdivision, these 87 homes. So the 87 homes in this subdivision bear their share of the cost of maintaining it if the county takes it over. If I were a commissioner or if I were a planning commissioner, that would be a request of mine. If you want to subdivide a piece of land and you don't want the taxpayers to pay the ongoing, then step up to the plate and say, as part of our subdivision, there will be an improvement district set up. And I know you can do that. I've done that. An improvement district that will underwrite the cost of the ongoing expense for the retention basin, the common area, the landscaped areas, the walking paths, whatever they are. And so I would propose to the homeowners association that maybe they consider as part of their annual fee or their monthly fee or whatever. It staggers me to think that $800 a month is paid to a management company to oversee the management of 87 homeowners association, when I dare say that these gentlemen or other people like them could very well do the management of the homeowners association. But an ongoing fee so that if the county ever did this or a future subdivision came in, you step up to the plate and carry your share so I don't have to carry it. But I haven't walked on them.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other public comment? Okay, all right, so we still have a motion and a second to deny this. I lost my guys, everybody went black over here. What happened? Anyways, so if there's no further public comment and I'm not seeing any signs, I would like to go to a vote if my commissioners are still there that I can't see. So if you're there, speak up. Ah, there you go. Jeff, you had you hidden. I couldn't find you. Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Okay. Moving on. Number 18, utilities, 18A, for possible action. Approve an amendment to the sale of treated effluent agreement. Is that what that says? Approve an amendment to the sale of treated effluent agreement with the Dayton Valley Golf Course to waive the effluent user fees until June 30th, 2021. Thought I was reading that wrong, but it was right.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, good morning. David Briquetta for the record. So that was that's the title of the agreement, and that's why it's in caps, stated that way. Just one thing before I get into this, as I was sitting here looking at this, I did make a typo mistake. And the typo mistake's in the staff report, not the amendment itself. But this proposed action is to waive the effluent user fees. And in the staff report, I wrote June 30th, 2021, but it should read June 30th, 2022. And that actually reflects what was in the amendment itself. So with that said, so back in 2010, the county entered into agreement with Dayton Valley Golf Course for the use of the treated effluent. As part of that agreement, there's a section in there that states that 3 years after the commencement, so in 2013, they were supposed to start paying an effluent usage fee. That usage fee was supposed to cover the costs of the line, the pumping, the equipment, depreciation, like that. The estimated amount of that was 23 cents per 1,000 gallons. So anyway, they entered an agreement in 2010. In 2013, the utilities director came back with a request to say, can we waive this fee for 5 more years? That was approved by the board. And then since 2018, we have not collected any fees associated with this. So what I was trying to do is bring this forward as a recommendation with an amendment to the agreement to waive this fee until June 30th, 2022, with the idea that by then we will have our rapid infiltration basin built at Aspen Creek. And then we have alternative sites to put the effluent. I think this is a good mutual agreement to put the effluent on the golf course, but I do understand there's definitely some costs associated with doing that. But right now, we're not in a position we don't have enough rapid infiltration basin disposal space to get rid of the effluent as is without the use of the golf course. So that's why I'm recommending that we waive this until 2022. Then the fee would be reinstated at that point. With that said, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions for Mr. Burketta? I see none. Well, then I can get a motion.
Move that we approve item 17A, or excuse me, 18A for approval with the correction in the staff report stating that the fees until June 30th of 2022.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, any opposed? Okay, motion passes. 18B for possible action, approve amendment number 2 to task order number 92, Aspen Creek Rapid Infiltration Project with Far West Engineering in an amount not to exceed $61,800 for additional design and county directed services needed to complete the design of the Aspen Creek Rapid Infiltration Basins. Funding will come from the Dayton Sewer Fund. David Burketta.
I'm David Burketta for the record. So what this is we are in the design phase for the rapid infiltration basin out there at Aspen Creek. And so this proposal is asking for an amendment to the design contract to add in an additional $61,800 for additional design charges and for county directed services. And the reason for this is because of the current location of the site. It's in a very remote location. So when we did the initial scoping of this, some features that we did not take into consideration had to do with some safety features, some automation features that would help protect using effluent in such a remote location. So as part of this, we want to incorporate into the design what we call some safety features, security, automation, remote monitoring, and control features. And so what that would include is examples are basin overflow protection. Because of its nature, where it's at, we want to put some controls in place. So if one of those rapid infiltration basins starts to overfill, that we don't have people on site that will be able to detect that through automation. It would include an intrusion alarm system, and that's nothing more than a gate alarm. This area will be fenced off, but because of its remote location, if somebody does get into it, we'd be notified through an alarm system. Valve automation. What that means is that we can control the filling of the different basins through automation. So instead of having to send an operator out there every day to change and turn on and shut off valves, we would do it through an automated process for the controls. And then in order to do the controls, of course, we would have to bring energy to this and then set up a control so that there would be communication link between the rib site itself and the wastewater treatment. So that's why we're asking for these changes. And I have the utilities engineer. I see he's on the site on this Zoom meeting. So if you have any further questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions for Mr. Burketta? No? Can I get a motion?
Move that we approve 18A, 18AB as presented.
Second.
Are we on A or B there, Joe?
18B.
Can I get a second? Mr.
Second.
Gray, did you second that?
I did, but
Did. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't hear you.
no
All right,
worries.
so we have a motion by Commissioner Mortensen and a second by Commissioner Gray. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Well, y'all just don't feel froggy today. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. All right. Do I have my first and my motion maker and my second lined up?
Sure.
We know who's
I'll be on second.
on second.
I'll do first or whatever.
Okay, we're going to recess to reconvene as the Willow Creek General Improvement District Board. Public participation. Seeing none. 20A for possible action, review and accept claims and financial reports.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Public participation. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. 21, public participation. Seeing none, we're going to adjourn to reconvene as the Mason Valley Mosquito Abatement District Board. 22, public participation. Seeing none. 23A for possible action, review and accept claims and financial reports.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any public participation? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. 24, public participation. Seeing none, we're going to adjourn to reconvene as the Walker River Weed Control District Board. 25, public participation. Seeing none, 26A for possible action, review and accept claims and financial reports.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any public participation? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. 27, public participation. Seeing none, we're going to adjourn to reconvene as the Central Lyon County Vector Control District Board. 28, public participation. Seeing none. 29A, possible action, review and accept claims and financial reports.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any public participation? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Number 30, public participation. Seeing none, we're going to adjourn to reconvene as the Silver Springs General Improvement District Board. 31, public participation. Seeing none. 32A for possible action, review and accept claims and financial reports.
So moved.
Second.
Maybe I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any public participation? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. 33, public participation. Seeing none, we're going to adjourn to reconvene as the Lyon County Board of Commissioners. Okay, commissioner comments. Mr. Didi, you go first this time.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My only comment this time is I thought that presidential debates showed just how much our country has lost respect for one another. And I would hope that that does not spill over into our county. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Didi. Commissioner Gray,
None of this time, ma'am.
Commissioner Hastings,
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
Commissioner Mortensen.
No, thank you.
Is everybody hungry and want to go eat or something? And you just all have that look on your face. Do we have closed sessions today?
I do not.
Yay!
Yay! Party! No. With that being said, we're going to go to our final public participation. Do we have anybody that wanted to talk about anything that we didn't already talk about? Seeing none, we are adjourned.
Hey, hey, hey.
Hey.